Hello, my buddies and my gals. This is Pastor Paul's Daily Devotional. I want to thank you so much for being here, because I'm here and you're here. We get to blow it up together. We get to study God's Word together. What a gift. So this week we're continuing our series based on vignettes in the Gospel of Matthew. At EFC, we're going to be doing a series on the Great Commission to go and to make disciples. That starts on the 20th of March. But in the meantime, we're just looking at a couple stories from the Gospel of Matthew. And so in our first day, Monday, we looked at this idea that we shall overcome. We are overcomers. Jesus promised that he would build his church and the gates of Hades would not prevail against it or overcome it. And then yesterday we saw this idea that we're called to deny ourselves, to pick up our cross, to carry our cross, to sacrifice ourselves for God's work as Jesus did. So it's that self-denial, deny ourselves. And then today we're looking at the beginning of Matthew chapter 17. This is the Transfiguration. I've actually been to the Mount of Transfiguration in Israel. It's phenomenal. But this is what it says, Matthew 17, verses 1 through 5. After 6 days, Jesus took with him Peter, James, and John, the brother of James, and led them to a high mountain by themselves. So we have the inner three here. These are the inner three of the 12. There he was transfigured before them. His face shone like the sun, and his clothes became as white as the light. Just then there appeared before them Moses and Elijah, talking with Jesus. We have Moses, who represents the law, and Elijah, who represents the prophets. Remember, back in Matthew chapters 5, 6, and 7 in the Sermon on the Mount, Jesus said that he is the fulfillment of the law and the prophets. It's one of the reasons we have Elijah and Moses here. Verse 4, Peter said to Jesus, "Lord, it is good for us to be here. If you wish, I will put up 3 shelters, one for you, one for Moses, one for Elijah." So blinding. He's like, hey, can we just create you guys some shelter here? Give you a break, give us a break. Verse 5, while he was still speaking, a bright light covered them, and a voice from the cloud said, "This is my son, whom I love. With him I am well pleased. Listen to him." Hear that again. This is my son, whom I love. With him I am well pleased. Listen to him. God the Father says, I love my son. My son has my approval. He has my affection. And because of that, you're to listen to him. You're to obey him. And so as we go through Lent and we move toward Holy Week, starting with Palm Sunday on April 10, we're to be people that obey Jesus. We hear the voice of Jesus and we obey the word of Jesus. There's nothing better than hearing the voice of Jesus and obeying him. And we know that God the Father approves of us, right? God the Father says, I love my son, I approve of my son. And because as followers of Jesus, we have Christ, the living Christ inside of us, God the Father looks at you and he looks at me and he says, I approve you, I love you, you have my affection. And so it's out of that posture of the Father's approval, the Father's love, that now we can hear the voice of Jesus and obey him. Nothing better than that. So go and be an outward-facing Christian, a sacrificing Christian, and an overcoming Christian.